Right guys, it's machine shop day here at CNC Equipment. We're going to replace these rusty and damaged rods on the old 175C track loader. Alright guys, it's Clinton and Hunter from CNC Equipment. Today we're working back on the International Dressta 175C track loader. If you guys seen the first video, you know that we pulled the hydraulic cylinders apart. We had some severe damage on that one. Got a bunch of pitting on these other ones. So if you guys have not seen that, definitely go back and check out that video. I'll put a link in the description so you don't miss out on the first part of this. So our plan is we're actually got new rods ordered. We couldn't find anything that was super reasonable. It was really expensive. These two will not re-chrome. They got too deep of pits. This one here probably would re-chrome. I may go ahead and replace that rod anyway while we're doing it. The re-chrome's getting a little expensive. So, and I actually found a whole complete NOS hydraulic cylinder for the other bucket curl cylinder. This is the bucket curl. These are the 4-in-1 buckets cylinders. But I'll go out there and show you guys what all that stuff is out there. All right, there's the track loader. If you guys hadn't seen the previous videos, definitely go back and check those out. But here's the rest of the cylinder parts. We got them all pulled apart. We done that all in the first video. The seals and stuff, I got new seals coming for it. But there's that rod. I actually, like I said, found one whole complete cylinder assembly. So it was really cheap. It was cheaper than buying a rod and a time and everything like that. So, but we're going to rebuild the other three and make new rods for them and go from there. But what'd you drop? But there's a tractor. Me and Kevin pulled all the. These are the two 4-in-1 bucket cylinders. The one we're getting ready to cut out. There's the bucket curl cylinders out there we pulled out. So machine's only got 300 hours on it. It's about 19 years old, but it's just been sitting out and not used, and that chrome's just pitted. And like I said, that one, it's got that big scar on it. You can see the bucket here, it's got a scar. I think they took an excavator, probably pulled this thing or something like that, and tore that rod up. So anyway, we're going to get after it over here. So what our plan of attack is here, we're actually going to get a measurement of this rod. You guys can see that right there. That's actually welded on. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to cut this eyelet off right here and replace this whole new rod. So when I buy a new rod, it's going to come complete like this, all solid. We'll actually have to turn this down and put threads on the ends right here. So you guys can actually see this one stripped out when we took the nut off of it. So we're going to start with this one. It's damaged really bad. I think they got a excavator tooth or something there. He's trying to pull that machine when it was dead and not running. Like I say, it's a 300-hour machine. So there's no time whatsoever on it. You guys can still see there's yellow paint on the sides of those bushings and stuff. It's all like brand new. So anyway, we're gonna get this dude measured. We're gonna get set up in the lathe. We got a center point here. Probably clamp that in a 3-jaw vise. Keep in mind all these chrome rods are junk at this point, so if we nick them, tear them up, it's no big deal. So probably what we'll do, we're going to come in here and get a good line down. We'll probably turn this down to within a 1/2-inch diameter here. And I'll put a 1/2-inch pin sticking out on the end of this. And the new rod, I'll actually drill a 1/2-inch hole in, so this will actually insert into that new rod, and then we'll weld this joint back up, is the plan of attack anyway. So we're going to get set up there in the lathe and see what happens. All right, before we chuck these up in the lathe, we've actually already measured these out. You guys see we got 18.5 on there. We've got a little dot right there we put in the metal on each one of them so we know how long these things was. And keep in mind, this isn't super precision, so I am just using a regular tape measure, but I can tell you right now, just measuring the two cylinders, they're off probably a good 32nd, if not a 16th of an inch on length. So it's not super critical because the cylinder will take up a little bit. So just using a regular tape measure on this length. So basically at 18.5, we know we've got this dot here. We've got to go back here at 18.5 on our new chrome rod. So we're going to get this set up in the lathe and watch your fingers. We're not worried about tearing, worried about scratching stuff right now. So they're good and tight. So this chrome on here is like a, I don't know how thick it is. It's 15 30 thousandths or 50 thousandths. It's not that thick, so it's actually a softer metal underneath of it. So once we get through that chrome, it's real easy to turn underneath there. So sometimes, like if I'm cutting a new chrome rod off, I'll take a grinder and just grind a notch in there for that saw to start in, because it won't cut through that super hard plating there. But we should be able to get started here in this weld. It'll be a little bit softer, and then we can kind of get under that chrome and peel it up. So you ready? Yep. All right, so I know some people's going to ask about the lathe. I actually have this exactly identical lathe at the old shop. This is, I think, a 1942, November of 42 is when this lathe's built. It's a Monarch lathe. I believe it's a 14.5 inch swing. So what that means is it will turn a 14.5 inch piece and still clear this. So be 7 1/4 from the center there. But yeah, I've got another one. I think it's actually a 1943. It's actually a few months newer. That's still super. How old is that? 42 to 2022?
80.
80 years old, is that right?
About.
It's hard to believe. They don't make things like this anymore. This has oil in it, oil pump. We've checked all of our fluids and stuff. This has an oil pump in it here too on the carriage. So these were supposedly a really good lathe. So if it's still around here 80 years later, it must be a good one. So I bought this one from the state of Indiana along with that Bridgeport mill. And I got the lathe really cheap. Didn't know nothing about the two, but this actually has a super low range out of it, I believe. It's something I don't use. You guys see these 13 RPM, 17, 26, and 29. I think that section's out of it, and it may come into play here when we start cutting threads on these shafts. If I can't get it slow enough to cut these threads, probably what I'll do, I'll take it to the other shop and cut it over there. It just wasn't worthwhile replacing. There's a broken fork in there. You can actually pull the top off and put it in that low speed. It's not worth it. I don't hardly ever use it. So if I do need it, like I say, we'll take it to the other shop and do it from there. So, but yeah, that's about it on the lathe. So anybody that's been around these Monarchs, they know what they are. But good old American-made machine, ain't it? So I think, and keep in mind, I'm not a machinist. I took this stuff in school, so guys, don't be bashing me on this stuff either. So I'll get the job done, and that's about it. So we're going to open this area up here a little bit, and we'll probably get a parting tool in there and go in there and get that cut in there. We definitely want to have a V when we get done here so we can fill that back up with weld. So, but you can see they're actually not real wide in there. What they got going on, that's probably not a 3/8 half-inch weld there. So be curious to see how far they welded in there. Once we get in there, we ought to be able to see what's going on. So they may even have the same socket. We may get in there and it may come apart. We may be able to reuse that. It's kind of unknown territory, but we're going to find out here real quick. So. Alright, so I was trying to open that up a little bit, see what was going on. You guys can see the weld actually starts right there. You can kind of see there's been some porosity in the weld. You can see that heat line right around that shiny line. That's where the weld was. Pretty cool, isn't it? Tell the difference between the two metals. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a regular lathe bit in here, and I'm actually going to come in here. This is all junk. Come in here and come back in this way. It's going to be quicker to turn that out. I just want to kind of sneak in here and see what was going on with that. we're going to change your bit holder out and regroup here. Let's see how hard this is here. Trying to get underneath that chrome there. See those chips are blue there? Yeah. They're pushing a little bit hard, but if you don't take it up and get underneath that chrome, it'll burn the bit up. So not doing too bad. That's how I always tell. If you got blue chips, that means it's either hard. You want them kind of silver, brown. See how they're kind of silvering up now? Those look a little better. That's about all. So the bigger round piece you got, the slower speed you have to have. It's probably going to quick fast too, maybe. There's all kinds of parameters. I think that's probably enough for us there. Oh, that weld's hard right there. See how it's real shiny out here? It's that hard as metal. See how now it's starting to get a lighter color right there? It's a soft metal. You can see that heat's come out there and kind of harden that. See the differences in the middle? I was trying to show Hunter, you guys see that shiny spot? That's actually where that metal, where that weld is a lot harder here, where it's that grayer dollar color, that's where it's softer at. So definitely can tell the two kinds of metal there. Starts chattering, come off that edge to the left a little bit. Sometimes you got walking back and forth like that. This is a nice, fun, boring part now. How'd you do?
I think I did all right.
You got her cut down to a V in there, about an inch or a little bit less. So this rod's 2 3/4 here. So I think what we'll do now, we'll put on a different cutter. This one's kind of made for hogging, so we're just trying to get some material out of the way. You guys can see that weld, it's got a lot of porosity in it there. We'll get a different cutter. We'll come in here and cut this shoulder back here and get that weld out of there. We're just making a bunch of room to get our cutter tools in there, but good job running the lathe for the first time.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna get a bit changed out. Alright, Hunter's been turning away here, and I actually got in this corner there. And you guys can see that this piece actually just separated. It must be the shoulder they used originally. You hold that camera there, Hunter?
Yeah, I got you.
I'll try to walk this off here. I'm gonna break the screwdriver. Well, I was gonna go down to about a 1/2 inch shaft. It looks like they went a little bit bigger, huh? There we go. Alright, you guys can see that. That's the original little nub they had on there. There's actually the square shoulder they had there, so we'll measure that and see what size that is. Whatever that is, we'll be doing the same thing. So 1 inch exactly, might be 1/1000 under. You see that?
Yeah, I see that.
So probably they had this out here a little bit farther. That should still be enough to get it squared up. I'm going to try to take a little bit of meat off this, a little bit more, maybe straighten that up, and then we'll cut that dude off here. What do you think?
Sounds like a plan.
Alrighty. Alright, we got that shoulder back down there to where they was originally. Our plans was to go in to make a 1/2 inch tang. They actually went down to 1 inch, so now we know that. You want to go ahead and try to pull it out. So this just broke free there. It might be warm. So there you go. You can see what they've done. I have to get that cut off there. They had 1 inch tang, about 1 inch, but 1.25 inches long or so originally. Went in that shaft. They had drilled in there, so
Kind of hot.
kind of hot, he says. I think we'll weld that up a little bit. We can probably chuck that back in the lathe there and turn that back down and fill that back up with weld. And next time we'll know not to go in that deep, huh? Everybody makes cylinders different, so that's not a hard fix. We'll weld that up, turn that back down, so we'll have that nice insert. Then we got a nice taper here. We'll taper that rod and probably leave a little gap here, and then we'll weld that back up on the new rod there. So, but yeah, what do you think about that? Now you know how those are on there, huh?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So, all right, we're gonna get that rod out. That rod's junk, and you got 2 more to do now. Think you got it figured out?
I think so.
Now you know just not to go down to
Whatever that
1/2 inch or yeah. Yeah, I was outside talking. He's just trucking away there. But it's all right. We can fix that. It's not a big deal. So we'll weld that up. We can get her lathe in there and turn that back down and be good as new. So, all right, on to the next ones. All right, Hunter's been working on the second one. He's got that all turned out, looking really good. So he's at what, about 1.200 right now?
Yeah.
And you guys remember that inner shaft's about 1 inch, so he's taking some baby cuts there to get close to that shaft there. And it's gonna keep on taking some little cuts till it should pop loose. You want to watch that, it shouldn't come flying off.
That's pretty slow quick.
Walk her in.
Oh, wait, wait. How it does that, huh?
I'm gonna set you guys up here and you can watch. There she went. Just like that, huh?
Yeah.
Back this up. Victory. Get that out.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, good job. How'd you do?
Oh, it came off.
Come off good. You guys can see that. We got just a little bit of a collar there. We'll probably take the cutoff wheel, go around there, and that little collar will slide right off there. So you guys can see the where they drilled it and put it in that shaft originally there. Worked pretty good, didn't it? Yeah. After we knew what we was doing. So we're gonna get that one cleaned up. You want to do the big one?
Sure.
We may have to change your plan of attack on that because it's longer and bigger around. So we're gonna get this one set up. All right, we got the long bucket curl cylinder in there, and it is super close to hitting. You guys see that bracket down there? It's clearing, but that's it. So Hunter's got her all set up here. We're gonna kind of do the same thing. You guys seen us do it on that one there. We're wondering, I'm not sure how big that tang is. We know it's gonna be at least an inch. So before he was turned down to about 1.25 inches, then we took the rest out. So I'd say on this one maybe go down to what, about 1.5 inches or so.
Yeah.
1 3/8, and we'll see, because they may have a bigger hole in that one. So he's gonna get to work on this one, and we'll catch up with you guys at the end. All right, we got the last one done, didn't we?
Yep.
Hunter got it all ground off. It was actually the same diameter, that inch diameter there. You guys can see that. Popped apart real nicely. So that is it for right now. I got some new chrome rod ordered. It won't be here for a few days, so when it comes back in, we'll get back on cranking some threads out and boring some 1-inch holes in the end, and we'll get them back together. All right, guys, we got our new chrome rod in. It's been probably, I don't know, a week and a half or so since we turned these out, so I may have forgot what what I said or did earlier, but we got 2 new chrome rods. Hunter's actually here. It's after school. He was on spring break when he cut these out originally, so we want to measure these and double check that we're the right size. That one should be 3 inches, and then these should be 2 3/4. So let's see what that measures.
I'm not a professional at this.
You probably have to go on the end here, hold it at an angle. I'll slide it back and forth. Looks like you're at 3 inches. These should be 2 3/4, which is how much?
2.75.
You need to hold it at an angle.
Oh.
That way, if you hold it like that, you can be off or down.
Right.
See? We've got a bigger pair of those too, so we got the right sizes. So we're gonna get chucked up in the lathe. I got some aluminum stock here. We're gonna wrap around here, protect the chrome surface. Since this is a softer metal, it should protect the chrome surface from the jaws of the chuck there. And I think first thing we need to do is get that in there, and we'll get a center point in it. We'll make sure it's all centered up and everything. We'll get a center drill in there. That way we can get our rest in there. Got a little V, it goes on that side over there. We'll turn this sideways like that. This V notch goes on there. There you go. Twist that sideways. We need to clean these off, so we'll have to run this. So since we're going to, we gotta be careful we don't scratch the chrome up here. We can use, these are actually bronze. We can use oil on them. I'm gonna clean them up a little bit. Put a little bit of oil on here so it lubricates that.
Right. You mean turn this up too?
How about that? We'll put our dial indicator back on here. Alright, I'm gonna try this again. Look how close that got us.
Way closer.
We're within 5,000, so we can do a little bit here too. Look at that. Pretty much centered it up. All right, we got our, I think they call it a steady rest. I don't know, I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. I've just barely got it on the end here. Got some oil on there. We've got our dial indicator gauge there. We've got her centered up. Might be moving maybe a click there, not much. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna run center drill in there, center drill that first. This is gonna be the end that our eyelet goes on, is that right?
Yep.
And so we're actually got to drill that and put a 1-inch hole up in that, and then when we get that all done, We'll turn this dude around, and then we'll cut our threads and stuff on that end down there. Nope, that's good. Lock your headstock there. Go ahead and crank that in.
Not fast.
Don't go too fast. We're not going real slow. We're not spinning real quick, so get in fine there. Keep a little cut hole on it. Still got our dial indicator on there. I'm gonna pull it off so it don't need to be on there anymore. Still centered up good. Go ahead and go on in. Kind of just got to go off the resistance you're feeling. Don't want to force anything, but yeah, that's probably enough to get a drill bit started. Back her up. Shut this off. That nice center hole we got in it's perfectly centered. You got to pull that back. Alright, Hunter got that drilled out with a 1-inch bit. I'm going to see if that will fit in there.
Not quite.
A little snug.
A little bit.
They got a burr on it or what? Seems like it has a little bit smaller. You're going to get your dial calipers and see what that hole measures. Make sure you're nice and square when you measure that. You got to be square this way. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you were doing it.
No, I'm holding the camera.
Oh.
See how you're crooked? And get over here and look at it. Kind of hard to measure with that.
Can't do this.
I told you right at 1 inch. And what's this measure? Isn't that right? 1 inch?
Yeah. Oh.
What's this measure? I may need to chamfer that hole a little bit. It's a click over, isn't it?
Yeah.
10 thousandths over. What's the other one measure? Alright, so this hole we drilled out is exactly 1 inch. This measures like 1 inch and 10 thousandths. So I think what we're going to do, we'll get a boring bar in here and we'll just buzz out that last 10 thousandths of an inch and get her all cleaned up. Nice precision fit, right?
Yep.
Alright, we need to get our dial indicator here again. Make sure this is good. Turn this over a little bit. Bring your centers in here a little bit. Put a little oil on those.
What do you do? Just squirt it?
Just squirt it on there so it's... We got her centered up pretty good. We got her all tight. Okay. That's about pretty good. Alright, so... I may do this because we're just going to take out a little tiny bit. About 10 thousandths. Come over here. Where's this going? Yeah, we just take a little cleanup pass over right now. Get the burrs off of it. Go in there far enough? Yep. Okay. What do you think about that? Pretty smooth, pretty slick fit, huh? Alright. There we go. Alright, got our piece out of the lathe. Hunter's got that nice 1 inch and 10/1000 hole in it, is that right?
Yep.
So before we do the other end, we're going to set this up here and get us a measurement on our length. Go ahead and slide that in there, Hunter. We actually did put a little bit of bevel on that too. We won't slide those all the way together, Hunter, so we can get a weld in there. We're going to have to get us a set point there. So if you guys remember in the first or earlier, we put a dot on here and we measured the shaft before we took it apart. So we're going to do the same thing there. Measure from our dot, put our mark on here for a shoulder, and then we'll chuck that dude up in the lathe, get a good center hole in it, and start turning that shoulder down so we can put these threads on there. Alright, so we got the piece chucked up in the lathe. Hunter's actually cutting the end off. It was about 3/8 of an inch long, so we're just going to move that material with the lathe.
How would you go in?
Oh, it's probably about 50 thousandths or a little more. It's getting softer now. So these rods are actually they're chrome plated and induction hardened. I don't know if you guys can see that edge right there, that shiny spot. That's where that induction hardening goes in. So this rod is really hard for about 100 thousandths thick. The chrome plating I think is only like a 1/2 thousandth thick. With that induction hardened, I think it's flame hardened. I'm not exactly sure, but it's hardened in there a good 1/8 inch or a little bit farther than that. So once you get through that hardening, it gets pretty soft. So Hunter's through the hard part there. You can kind of see that shiny ring around there. But so I don't have any ceramic cutters, which are good for cutting this chrome. I've got some ordered. They're not in. We was able to peel that, get underneath that and peel that chrome up. It was pretty hard. So as much as I think we got to do, I think I'm gonna wait till those ceramic cutters show up, because if you watched us cut these, we actually got underneath the chrome and took a pretty good cut. These rods seem a little bit harder than the original ones. So well, anyway, we're just doing a little practice in there. He's going to cut that 3/8 of an inch off that rod. It was too long there, and then we'll drill that hole for a center point here, and we'll be ready to once the ceramic bits come in, we'll be ready to turn this shoulder down and cut some threads on there. So all right, Hunter got that trimmed off there. We got our tailstock set up. We got our dial indicator set there. Within a 1/2 thousandths or less, close enough for me, isn't it?
Yeah.
Get this out of the way, and then we'll get that dude. Hope I turned off, huh?
Yeah.
Whoa. You ready to drill her?
Yeah, I guess so.
Go ahead, I'll give you some oil. Slide your tailstock back. Got to undo your cam there. And back that all the way out and take that out. You can leave that in there.
Oh.
Just back it all the way up. I'm going to shut this off. So you're going to put your, make sure there's no burrs on there, put your live center.
I don't know.
Right here.
Oh.
This is your live center. So they have two different types of centers that I know of. This is called a live center. It has a bearing in there so it can spin. Then they have what they call a dead center. It's just a solid piece of metal. So next thing we need to do, now we have this center established all up in here. So we're done with that, right? Because that's going to hold it in the center.
Yeah.
So we'll get this cleaned up and we'll pull your steady rest out of here. We're all done with it. Loosen that up a little bit. That's all we needed on this one. Your tail, yeah, slide your tailstock in. I'm going to back this up so we got some room to work. Go ahead and slide your tailstock up.
I don't know what that is.
That's your tailstock.
This is?
Yeah.
Okay,
It's on the tail. There you go.
Oh,
I'm going to back you up a little bit more so we got some room there. Okay. Tighten your cam down. And see how I backed this up so we got room? Now run your, I don't know what you call that, your live center out. I'm sure there's a lot of people blasting me because I don't know termination and all this stuff. I forgot it.
Well, I don't know any more than you do.
We're teaching. Run it out till it gets tight. And tighten up on the taper. Keep going. Alright, you're there. And tighten your cam down there. So we're all set up. Whenever we get our ceramic bits, I'm not saying we couldn't barrel through that, but it wouldn't be fun, would it? We get our ceramic bit. That's our stopping point. And we'll get some threads put in it. So now, since we've took this that steady rest off there, that's going to act as our tail, keep it from wobbling. Should be perfectly centered up. So, all right, till our ceramic bits come in, we'll be back. All right, guys, me and Hunter went home last night and got to thinking. I've got a lathe at the other shop, like I said. I remembered I actually had some ceramic bits for it, so lo and behold, I found a bag that says ceramic here. You probably can't read it, but did find a couple bits I had left over, so we got one in there. Already made like a couple passes here this morning. You guys can kind of see that. We got the chrome busted off here. We're still going through that hardened induction layer yet. We'll have to make 3 or 4 more passes, and then we'll switch back out to a regular carbide bit. So that ceramic bit just cuts that harder stuff a whole lot better. So we're just kind of taking our time getting that hard stuff off there, but we'll get that done. We'll switch out. We'll get that turned down and see if I can remember how to cut some threads. So it's been a while. I'll set you guys up here and you can watch. Alright, just took the carbide bit off there. You guys can see that. Looks the same as the other one, but it's definitely a lot harder. So I'm going to put that back in the bag so I don't get that mixed up. I'm going to put a regular carbide one on here. Find the end I'm not tore up already. So I believe I'm through all that harder stuff. It's acting like it's quite a bit softer. You guys can kind of see it's actually tearing the metal there. I did put a little chamfer on right there, so when we slide the new seals on, they won't cut, and I'll kind of have a taper to go up on there. So it's a little warm. So this is a 2 3/4 rod. We've turned it down to about 2 3/8 right now. So I feel like I'm through all that hardened spot there. So we're gonna try this bit out now, this regular carbide bit, and see what happens. Been taking about a 50,000ths cut with the other one. Try this at 50,000ths. too bad. Definitely a lot softer now. It should get a little bit softer the deeper we go, and it should equal out. So they make two types of chrome rods that I'm aware of. They make one that's just like a regular 1045 steel. That's what this one is. And they just put a chrome hardening on the outside of it, so it's not induction hardened. So this one's chrome plated and induction hardened, so it actually hardens down in the material ways. That's why we cut in there about a ½ inch, 3/8 of an inch or so to get past that induction layer. So keep in mind, I'm not a professional at this either, so I just know enough to be dangerous. So we're going to keep on turning here till we get down to, I think it's 1.25 inches. I don't know, I may stop and do some practice threads. I'm not doing threads for a few years, so before we get down to the final diameter, we'll see how I feel about it. So we're going to keep on cranking here. We got a long ways to go. Right, so I got that turned down to 1.25 inches, actually 5/1000ths under, because that piston is actually 1.25 inches exactly. The original shafts were 5/1000ths under, so that's what I did to this one. Put a little bevel on there, so when the seals slide on there, they won't catch and tear those up. So I've got a mark here. We're going to cut threads all the way up to this mark like the other ones. I'm actually going to cut a little groove in there. Actually, it's going to be the thread minor diameter, which is 1.160 on this. So we're cutting 12 threads per inch, 1.25 inches by 12. It's a fine thread. So I'm going to cut me a little groove in here to the bottom of the threads, which is called the minor diameter, or it's actually pretty much the same size as the inside of the nut here. So that's going to tell me when I get the threading through here that I'm down to where I need to be. So you can do it without, you just got to be fast and crank out the cross slide here. So I'm just going to do it the way I've taught. It doesn't really matter on this situation if we put a little groove in there. So I'm going to get that cut in there, then we'll get our threading bit in there, and then we'll get our gears changed to cut our threads. Alright, got my threading bit in there. It's a 60-degree bit there. I got that minor groove cut in there, so we're going to cut our 12 threads per inch over there. That should be the bottom side of our threads right there. I've got my top cross slide set at 29.5 degrees, so I'm going to be running it in the whole time. I'm going to be watching my lead screw over here, engaging it. On even threads, you can actually use any one of these numbers. I think on odd threads, you have to use like 1 and 3 or 2 and 4. Somebody may correct me if I'm wrong. So we're going to set this dude up. We're cutting 12 threads per inch, so this lever's in the right spot there. Then we need to be on B and C, so this one's got to go up a little bit. Alright, we're on BC, 12 threads per inch. I'm going to slow my lathe down here a little bit too. Okay. I'm going to come in here and zero my lower cross slide out. Alright, I want to do a little test run. Just real light cut, make sure they look right. Find my thread gauge. Oh, here it is. We got a thread gauge here, we're going to check that. It looks like you're good, so we're going to go in about 15 thousandths at a time and cut those threads out. Oh yeah, we're getting close now. I'll take just a little bit more. It should be good. Fits nice. Not too bad. Nice and snug, not loose. Make sure our piston fits on there. Get out of the way. Oh yeah. That's going to be nice. There's an O-ring seal in there. Alright, we got a nut fitting on there really nice. Just a little bit of drag, so that means we got some good threads going on, so that's going to be nice. So, I've got a couple more to do. You guys seen the process here. I'm going to get the other ones done, and then we'll get the welder out and get those new rod ends tacked on there. We'll probably tack those on the lathe. Then I got a machine, we'll set them in and we'll weld them up. So. Alright, we're going to have a first cut here with the ceramic bit cutting the chrome rod. Alright, got the rods all made, got the threads turned on all of them. I've got me a welding machine I bought on eBay. I had another contraption at the old shop I used to do drive shafts and stuff on, but I bought this super sweet, made in China welding turner machine. So, did make me a custom dolly here, roller table, whatever you want to call it, to roll those rods. So, we're going to get this one all set up. I got this end pressed in here. If you remember earlier in the video, we put a dot right there and took a measurement on the length there at 18.5. So I've got that pressed in there at 18.5. I got a piece of aluminum here. We're going to slide over this, protect the chrome so it don't get any weld splatter on it. And then you guys see that crack's pretty narrow. I'm actually going to use a welding rod, 70-18 welding rod, and we'll probably weld that up about halfway. Then we'll use the MIG gun to finish the rest of it. So. Alright, so I'm using a stick welder off a truck. It's not been run for a long time. I do have one in the shop, but it's not all set up, so this one needs run anyway, so we're gonna get her started up. What you got, Timmy? What'd you do, Timmy? Don't be messing with me.
I didn't mess with nothing, bud. You're not looking in the right spot.
It's a Miller-Matic roller, damn it. Wrong color for Miller, though. Look here, got a few passes of 7018 in there. I'm gonna keep on coming up with it. If I need to, I might go with the MIG gun. I'm gonna keep on trucking with that stick weld. All right, got done welding with the Miller Bobcat welder. I'd welded them all with the stick welder. I did finish one, the very first one I did with the MIG welder. Last couple passes on that one there. These here I stick welded. 7018 rod. Got that one just finished up, the bigger one. It's cooling down. I got aluminum there protecting that chrome rod, so I'm gonna let that sit there and cool down. But yeah, those ought to hold really well, so nice and strong and everything. The rotator worked pretty good, so didn't have any issues with it. But this is that bigger bucket curl cylinder. Nice threads on there and a nut. So that's going to be it on this video, guys. If you guys want to see more, definitely subscribe. We got some more cool videos coming out on that thing. Next one will probably be actually rebuilding the cylinders and stuff on it, so putting the cylinders back on it. I know this video is probably getting long, but you guys like this stuff, give me a thumbs up. Keep in mind, I'm not a professional at this, so you guys got some pointers, let me know. But I don't do this stuff every day, so it's something I want to do probably a handful of times a year. But it's nice brushing up on some skills I've not done for a while. So, but anyway, guys, definitely let me know what you think, and we'll catch you guys next time.